Hi, today I want to talk to you about setting up and running this French-made alabaster clock from probably the late 1800s. This particular clock is again needs a special location for this clock because of the weight of the clock. You have to have it in a very solid and a very level location. So level is absolutely critical. The clock needs to be leveled from side to side and front to back. So if you can find a spot where you can place a level across the front here or across the side here, that's a good thing to do, is to level it up. Even if you have to shim it wherever you've got it located, just understand that being level is absolutely critical. Obviously it has to be on a mantle or something that has a lot of weight to, like, it's a very heavy piece, so it needs something very sturdy to support it. You can't put it on anything that has doors or drawers or anything like that. It has to be a solid mantle piece or something similar to that. I don't know if you'd be able to put it on a shelf of its own, but you need something that's going to support the clock. So anyways, hopefully you have a good location already picked out for it. So we want to talk about winding it and setting it up. First of all, as far as transporting it is concerned, we will have the pendulum off of the clock to transport it, so the clock will be running on its own without a pendulum on it until you get the pendulum put on it. And I'm going to see about grabbing a key for it as well. So I found the proper key that we need to wind it up, but for now we're just going to talk about hanging the pendulum on the clock once you get it home and in its location. So you're going to need a location, obviously, where you can turn the clock around or get access to hanging the pendulum on it. Once you've got it home, then the pendulum just simply hangs up onto the little suspension wire at the top, like so. And then the rod of the pendulum has to go in the fork between the leader there. So I made that look pretty easy, but it's a very delicate operation. You need to be very, very careful when you're doing that, because if you move this piece from one side to the other when you're doing it, you will knock this clock what's called out of beat. In other words, it won't tick evenly when you set it up on a level surface. That's something I'm going to show you later on as far as how to adjust that as well, in case you do need to change it. But once you've got the pendulum hung on it, then just very carefully give it a very light swing to get the clock going. Okay. Once the pendulum's on and running, you should be able to listen to it and hear it ticking evenly. I don't know if we can get the... If you can hear that on the video, that's exactly what it's supposed to sound like. So once that's on, then we're going to put the bell on. And the clock may stop when you're doing this operation because the bell might rest against the back of the pendulum rod. Let's get this in place. If the pendulum stops swinging when you're doing this, then just give it a little start again. Okay, so just tighten that down like so, and then close everything up here. And now we're assuming that the clock is in position, it's up and running. The next thing to do is going to be to wind and set it. So winding the clock is done once a week. The clock needs to be wound until it comes to an absolute stop. There's no such thing as overwinding the clock or winding it too tight. So that's something you need to be aware of. First step is always to wind it and then to set it. So the clock is running now, but we're just going to give it a wind so that you're comfortable with, see how I wind it, so that you're comfortable with doing the same thing. So you can see that it comes right to an absolute stop. The key will actually rebound in your hand when you come to the stop on the winding it. These springs aren't really strong in this clock, so it shouldn't take too much pressure to wind them up. Okay, once the clock is fully wound, then you set it on the right time. Setting the time on this clock is done either forwards or backwards, as long as you stay within the half hours. In other words, if it's currently 10:35, then I can go back to here, but I can't go back to here. Okay, and then if you're going forwards with the time, you'd stop on the hour and the half hour and let it strike. And right now, the bell needs to be set up a little bit higher. So that's something you might have to adjust a little bit too, depending on where you put the bell on. You can barely hear it there, but you can make little adjustments on the bell as needed after you've got it set up. Okay. And then, so as far as timekeeping is concerned on this clock, Accuracy should be within somewhere around a minute a day, which means that you will have to reset the time on it whenever you wind the clock. Make that a routine that you do. Whenever you wind it, always set on the right time. Make sure you have an accurate timekeeper with you, and then just set it to the right time. Now, in the instance right now, if you actually had to go back a half an hour, what I would always recommend is simply stop the clock, let the real time catch up with the time shown on the clock, and then start the clock up afterwards, rather than going around and around and around to get to the hour, because you cannot go back past the 12 or back past the 6. Always remember, you have to wind both sides. You can't wind one or the other and expect the clock to work. You have to wind them both in order for the clock to work. Even though one is for the strike mechanism, one is for the time, you have to have them both wound up on it. Regulating the timekeeping, as far as adjusting it, something you don't have to worry about, but we do all that when we do the work on the clock. We do regulate it. But there's a nut on the bottom of the pendulum that you adjust to raise the pendulum or to lower the pendulum, and that makes the clock run faster or slower depending on which way you go with it. There's also an adjustment up here at the 12 to which you would have if you have a double-ended key. You can adjust the timekeeping. But again, remember that the accuracy isn't going to be the most accurate clock in your house. It's more decorative than it is accurate, and just keep that in mind. Of course, if you have any questions at all about the clock, setting it up, or anything to do with running it, then just give us a call. Our number is 705-325-1455. Thanks. Okay, so I just wanted to also show you on this clock the adjustment for making it tick what we call in beat. Because this clock is very sensitive and you can easily knock it out of beat, I just wanted to show you how to fix that problem. So if you can just get the camera in there, and we'll listen really closely to how it's ticking right now without this other clock chiming. So I'm just going to put it out of beat so you can hear the difference right now. So you can hear the difference in the way it ticks. It's like it's limping, basically. And all I did was just simply move this very slightly. So you can see exactly what I did there. All I did was move the little fork from one side or the other until you can feel a resistance on it, and then just push it a little bit further, and then that changes the way the clock ticks. So the part that you're adjusting is this part right here. If I take the pendulum off there, you can see it even better what I'm talking about. But this is something you can do with the pendulum on. So the part that you're actually moving is this part here. And you're moving it to the right or to the left in order to get it to tick differently. And you can feel without the pendulum on there where it stops on its own. And you can actually push it past the stops to make it change ticking. Anyways, I just wanted to add that on to this video.